So, it is official. I have been diagnosed with ADHD. Let me take you back a bit on my ADHD journey. So I heard of ADHD before. It was always the stereotypical boys who are hyper active and just kept moving. And it wasn't until I started to manage the pediatrician clinic at work that I realized ADHD is not just for boys. ADHD is not just hyperactivity. It can be internal hyperactivity. So when your thoughts in your mind are just running constantly, but on the outside you're fine. You look like you have everything under control, and that is the kind of inattentive ADHD that I have. And I had noticed that during the clinics that some of the symptoms that they were describing for some of the patients with ADHD inattentive were things that I had also I was also presenting with. And yeah, so then the whole process, I had to find a psychiatrist who does ADHD adult assessments. And then I took that name to the GP and got a referral for an ADHD assessment. This is how I really knew that I had ADHD. It took me like months in between finding the psychiatrist to actually getting the referral, and then from getting the referral it took months to scan it and send it to the psychiatrist. And then it wasn't a clear scan, so I had to do it several times before I sent one that was clear for them, and that itself took several months. So in between finding the psychiatrist and actually getting an appointment, it took about a year, just because my brain couldn't do it. Like, I'd go to scan and I couldn't move. That's called executive dysfunction, and I suffer from that very much, which is what has been affecting myself at work and in my business. And I know that my business can thrive, and I knew that this was a hurdle for me as a business owner, and I needed to overcome that in order to succeed and find strategies that suited me. And that's why this diagnosis was very important to me. Yeah. And so from the time they received all of my paperwork, I was then able to get an appointment within 6 months. I thought that I was going to have to travel, so they are located in Richmond, which is about half an hour away from me, and kind of have to go through city traffic in peak hour. And so that really stressed me out. But then I found out that I was able to do it online via video, and it was amazing. I completed, so they were very communicative. So they sent reminders. They asked if I wanted to do video as opposed to going into the center, which was great for me because I had anxiety driving and parking and all of that stuff. And so having it online was great. Then the week before, they sent you a whole bunch of questionnaires to fill out. I know there was a way that you could do it online without printing and writing it out, but I couldn't figure it out. And so I just printed them, filled them out, scanned them, and sent them in. You also had an option to scan or send them copies of your school reports that show you're unorganized, you're easily distracted. And it was really interesting for me to go through all of my reports, because I thought I was a good student because I was getting good grades. I always concentrated on the grade instead of what was being said inside the comments. And so the comments were like, Moana is not working to her full capacity. She could be more organized in getting her drafts done. Moana talks too much, which was really surprising to me because I am the quiet one in my family. So for someone to say I talk too much, I don't know. I don't believe it. But it must have happened because it said that several times in different reports over different years. And you could clearly see where I am doing a subject that I like compared to a subject that I didn't like, because I had better grades and I had better comments and things like that. So the reports helped to form background, because in order to get a diagnosis of ADHD, you need to show that it was not just something that you're feeling in as an adult, but you also had it as a child. And clearly I had it as a child. I just didn't know what it was. So then on the day, it costs $750, and I got $250 of that back through Medicare. On the day they sent me the link, I logged on. It was just simple questions on why I feel like I needed the assessment, how is it affecting my life, things like that. And then by the end of it, she gave me the diagnosis and sent me prescriptions. And that is my ADHD diagnosis story. I hope to also keep you updated on how I feel on the medications. It won't be as often, but so that you know what it is, because I feel like ADHD is actually pretty much genetic. So either one of your parents have it if you have it. And so I feel like a lot of our Pacific people go undiagnosed and they don't get all of the benefits of a diagnosis and the supports that come with them. A lot of shame in being diagnosed where there isn't. You should not be ashamed for thinking differently and for needing supports for those differences. So like, if it's like knowing you are short-sighted and don't wear your glasses all the time, everything's going to be fuzzy. That's what it's like without being medicated. So I'll keep you updated. I've tied it up until fast.